Vice President Harris is concerned over the Supreme Court's decision striking down affirmative action in college admissions, and airlines are scrambling to make sure that recent flight problems don't disrupt travel this holiday weekend. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Colleges and universities are evaluating yesterday's opinion by the Supreme Court, ending the explicit consideration of race in college admissions. Vice President Harris says she and President Biden are concerned the effects of the ruling will spill over into the business world.
So the president, I thought, was very clear about saying to corporate America that we would expect that this decision will not in any way cloud their judgment about the importance of diversity in the workplace.
Absolutely. Some industry groups, such as the American Medical Association, condemned the Supreme Court ruling. The AMA says this undermines decades of progress centered on the educational value of diversity, and it undermines the health of the nation. Air quality remains very poor in several eastern states. Smoke from Canadian wildfires continues to drift south, prompting air quality alerts from Michigan to North Carolina. One tracking site says the country's worst air quality this morning is in New York City. U.S. airlines are under pressure to make sure travelers are not left stranded and frustrated this July 4th weekend. A series of recent flight disruptions and problems plaguing the airline industry are prompting concerns. NPR's Kristen Wright reports today is a busy travel day for the holiday weekend.
A record 4 million people are expected to fly over July 4th as airlines scramble to reschedule thousands of passengers whose flights were delayed and canceled after storms. United blames the Federal Aviation Administration and a shortage of air traffic controllers. Andrew Applebaum is with Flyers Rights.
This year in particular, we're seeing pilot shortages, equipment shortages, and even air traffic control shortages.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says his department is investigating unrealistic scheduling by the airlines and warning that planes won't be allowed to fly if they're not equipped to prevent wireless interference starting this busy travel weekend. Kristen Wright, NPR News, Washington.
New York's embattled Republican Congressman George Santos is due back in a federal courtroom this morning. NPR's Brian Mann reports Santos faces 13 criminal charges ranging from wire fraud to theft of public funds.
Today's hearing on Long Island is expected to focus on scheduling and other procedural matters. One question is how George Santos will balance the demands of his criminal trial with his long-shot campaign for re-election. Santos lied about much of his life story before winning office. Many Republicans say they won't support his bid for a second term. Speaking on Fox News, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said Santos shouldn't run for re-election. Santos fired back on Twitter, saying McCarthy's comments do not change my intention of running. But the court has already placed strict restrictions on Santos's travel, and the timing of court dates could complicate his ability to fundraise and campaign. Santos also faces a probe by the House Ethics Committee. Brian Mann, NPR News.
You're listening to NPR News from Washington.